Hello, my dear. Okay. Hi.
Good evening.
Hello.
Let's see. I gotta pay attention here so I don't miss anybody. Oh, okay, good. Um, Mr. Hale. See the gallery. Good, 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 good. All righty. Oh, I lost you.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Jeff, I'll ping you after this meeting and we'll chat.
I liked your picture better, the one you had before. You're much more handsome.
Wow. I remember that guy.
You know, all I can say is I appreciate the, honesty.
Yeah.
Well,
Just ignore him, please.
sometimes I forget to turn my filter on.
All
Hi,
right.
Lynette. Nice to see you.
Greetings, nice to see you. Well, your picture anyway.
Yes, I was there for a moment, but it was
Yeah,
it was
I know.
blinding Jeff, so I had to,
Yes.
All right.
Tom,
All right. Just so you guys know, we're being recorded, so. All right. I think everyone's here. We might, let's see, who are we missing? Jim Quisenberry, but he hasn't been here the last couple meetings. So let's not delay. Let's get going. 6:01, we'll start the meeting. Welcome, everybody. Well, everybody here, let's see, quick roll call. Lynette,
here.
Trish and Jeff,
Here.
Jim Hale,
here.
Tom Cross,
Here.
and then we have Jeff Peps, and we have Dave and Bev here, not as committee members necessarily, but for public comment and great participants, I might add. Announcements. I want to announce that I added something at the very last minute onto the agenda. I'll probably carry this over into another meeting. So if there needs to be public comment, there'll be more opportunity to do that. It was something that came to me as an afterthought. So we're just going to sort of open the door to this subject, and then we'll keep the conversation going, if that's okay. Does anybody have a problem with that?
Nope.
No.
Okay. All right. So that's the last thing that I sent you actually today as an attachment. And I have some other stuff to show you. So let's just start with public comments for items not on the agenda. Jeff.
I'm still trying to figure this system out here. A couple things I think I think is worth talking about is we started this group as an AT group, and it had no attention before, no traction or anything. And I see my face is leaving here. I can't even get this thing.
There you go.
So then it got merged with traffic and circulation. And thinking back now on a lot of this, we've lost all of the traffic dialogue. And there actually was very good dialogue in the meetings. They were more unstructured. And a good component of that, it was frankly having a county representative there. And what this did is it actually drew people that weren't even part of transportation or anything, but they had it was community members. It was almost like a supervisor's office hour. They'd come in, they say, I got this issue. And we would talk about it. Maybe would give them some direction. The county person would give them some direction or information, and they could take it away. If it looked like it was a big deal, well, then it would get parked, and you wouldn't use the whole meeting. But we've lost a lot of that, and over all of the years, I found a lot of value in it. In one, understanding what other community members' issues were, because I know what mine are, and I'm pretty vocal about them. But we need to get that back into this group, I believe. And I know you've indicated county is short on manpower. Somehow we need to communicate either through this subcommittee or perhaps through the general counsel. Community engagement's an important priority. And, whether it has to go through Bruce or through a higher level than Josh, we need representation. And maybe it's your planning liaison. That'll probably be slower, but, at least they could hear and understand what the community's issues are. There's no receptacle now for community members to come and have a dialogue. And again, these public comments, we need to be perhaps in the subcommittee a little less structured and allow dialogue in public comment time. I know why you need to do it in the general meetings, that you can't comment, but that's what the subcommittee meeting truly did. It allowed people to interact. So that's my one comment there. The other one is Zoom's a killer for me. And I really believe, again, you're going to get better. We'll get better interaction with people that don't want to deal with Zoom. And, that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Jeff. I completely agree with you on the dialogue aspect, and I have no problem having open dialogue, whether it's between committee members and the public. I am not certain we can get the attention of the county. I will do my best to do that. But today I saw on the Tribune, it came across my email that we're losing our head of the division. Wade Horton is leaving. And when I talked to Jake Hudson, who is our new person for Public Works, he is directly working on the Los Osos Valley Road corridor study. He came in from Slow City. He said, I didn't realize how gutted this department was until I walked in and I saw nothing but empty desks. So trying to get, and we've just lost our planning person, Corey Hahn. Corey Hahn's going to Pismo Beach. So now we have a wonderful person, Claire, but she's brand new.
I'd bring Claire in if she is our liaison. And I remember she talked in that safety meeting. She's the LOCAC liaison. I honestly, we just need somebody so then they can, if they hear an issue, they know who in the county to go back and talk to about it. It may not be quite as responsive and knowledgeable as we have been previously familiar with, but anyway, we're losing the traffic side, and I think we lose a lot of the community because of that. And somehow we got to figure out how to get that back in here.
Well, I'm going to talk to Jake. Claire's, her expertise is water. So we might get her to show up, but she won't be the most helpful person, I don't think. So let's see if I can make some headway with Public Works. And I can't guarantee that they'll come every time, but if we could get them to come at least once a quarter.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be an every month thing, but again, and it's to let the community members also know if you got a traffic issue, these are the meetings the county representative will be there. I don't know. And I don't know what the other members here, they may want to chime in whether they think it's a super priority, but I mean, even going to Gibson and saying, you know what, I know they're short staffed. We consider community engagement a high priority. This is something we very much valued during that period of time, and we need to figure out how to kind of get it going again. Like, for example, does anybody here know when our road repavement schedules are? Are we getting new streetlights in? Are crosswalks repaved? A lot of that stuff got communicated from county to us, what they're doing in our county at the time, in our area at the time. But it was also a vehicle for them to actually hear, hey, I got a real speeding problem here. They could then go and get traffic stuff set up. And, you know, it was a good interchange. I mean, it ebbed and flowed, but, and I agree with you, it may not be a monthly thing, but as I step back, I go, man, I'm really glad we got AT going. But all of a sudden this other thing folded in and it just went zero. So.
Yeah. So good education for me, Jeff, because I really started with the active transportation because I felt that was being ignored. And then the traffic thing kind of got dumped in my lap because we lost the chair. She had been chair for many, many years and I had no experience.
Yeah.
Traffic. So I didn't know what had happened before me or how the meetings were conducted. So let's see if we can get back on track. For me personally, the community engagement is the most important thing. If we're not doing that, we're not doing our job.
Yeah. And I don't know if Lynette or Dave and Bev want to pipe in. I mean, that's kind of my slant on it. I want to just be careful, you know, if it's not a common view, we don't want you working on stuff that people aren't into.
Well, first I'm going to let Tom make his comment because he did raise his hand, and then I'll
Sure.
let Dave and Bev chime in. Go ahead, Tom.
Hello, I understand where Jeff is coming from, and I would love to get more public engagement in that. I don't know, I don't think we would necessarily need someone from the county to come to any meeting where traffic issues are discussed. It is our job as LOCAC to take all of those comments, compile those into an easily digestible form for the county. So there's nothing stopping the community from engaging with us and the county regarding traffic issues. If they come to our, like these committee meetings when we're discussing traffic issues, I'm confident it will get to the parties that be at the county, and then they will respond to us the next committee meeting. I know it's not as like exciting as talking to someone at the county directly, but that is part of our role as LOCAC, is to be that go-between.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Dave or Bev, or both?
Hi, it's Dave. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll just agree with Jeff. At the excuse me, at the land use meeting, they have somebody there to ask a question of. At the LOCAC meeting, you guys have somebody there to ask questions of with regard to planning. But as far as traffic and circulation, the old committee that used to meet, and Lynette was on it too. If we had a question, there was a guy from the county there who could answer our questions half the time. And it wasn't a matter of, okay, we've got a problem. Then it goes to LOCAC. Then LOCAC doesn't have a public works person at their meetings most of the time. So then it floats around, and then, you know, we don't even get an answer for weeks or months. Somebody in public works must have some idea of what's going on the roads. And that's what the purpose was of the guy coming to our meetings, was he knew something about how the county operated, and he could answer a question about, you know, why don't we have a signal here, or why don't we have a crosswalk there? So rather than people just sort of wagging their lips or their tongues, or whatever the expression is, when we had somebody who was from the county, who actually, you know, wasn't in charge. A lot of times the guy had to say, I'll have to go back and ask for something to happen. But at least we had somebody who knew something, as opposed to just a bunch of community members who were talking about stuff that we wish we could get done. So I'll stick up for Jeff and his suggestion. And again, the meetings, the traffic and circulation meetings, however they transitioned over to getting joined together with active transportation, basically during the pandemic, all the meetings just kind of stopped as far as the former chairman was concerned. And so nothing happened. And I don't know what happened to Mike Britton, who was the guy who was coming. He disappeared sometime during the pandemic, and I haven't heard anything about it. And I hope that he made it through the pandemic. That's all.
Oh, yeah, I think he left the county. He doesn't work there anymore. I can't speak for anything beyond that. So he's been long gone, actually. I was able to get Josh Roberts to come once, reluctantly. So I think it's on me. I will do my best to get somebody to show up. Let's see. Lynette and then Tom, I think you have another comment, or I don't know.
Just a quick one.
Okay. Go ahead,
Lynette can go for it.
I would just say, I feel like if he's walking into an office of empty desks, that's part of the problem. Part of the problem is that we're not meeting in person, and that seems like a budgetary thing. And I'm not sure what we need to do to get our audience back. It's probably a lot more outreach in terms of emails. And I don't know, public announcements, wherever you can get them. But if we don't have that county rep, I think that was a big draw, because he was consistently there and would listen to us and take notes. And it just sounds like the county can't provide that right now.
All right, well, let me check into that. Tom, you had a quick comment?
Yeah, it's almost exactly what Lynette said. It would be awesome to have a representative here every time, but the county seemed to have lost a lot of staff in the preceding couple of years, and it's just not as feasible as it once was, which is a shame. But again, you can ask us the questions. We will take down the notes, and we'll make sure the right people get that information. It may not be as immediate, but that's, yeah.
Thank you, Tom. Jeff, you had another comment.
All right, well, I'll give one to you, Tom. I have an issue right now here in Baywood. We currently at 4th and Pismo, it's a known issue anytime there's storms, big, small, or indifferent. We get a lot of sand and debris that come down through 4th and Pismo. Water and stuff comes both sides of 4th, down through the from 5th on the sand area, down through the chicane, goes all the way along Pismo. County ops, this is I guess the road response people are responsible to come out when there's problems, trees down, roads are having problems. They have a couple windows they actually cut into Pismo on the side that goes down into a culvert. That culvert then catches predominantly all the water, runs to 3rd Street, a side of 3rd Street. You can't see it. There's a depression down there because of all the issue. Sweet Springs, the Audubon has a new location where you have a way to get in there. This doesn't have to do with Sweet Springs or Audubon, because that berm has always been there. But as I can tell, it looks like it has a culvert. That culvert allowed the water to drain into the bay and stay off of Pismo. Anytime we get a large amount of water, it actually, because that's clogged, the berm is higher than Pismo. All the water backs up and comes into the Pismo street. So county operations comes out. They're very good. They put cones out. County operations comes out, cleans sand up. But I went to them. I said, "Boy, why don't you get this culvert cleaned out? You'll save money." Well, they can't because it's on private property. Said, "Go to your private property people." Well, that's Audubon. I go to Audubon. Audubon says, "Well, it might hurt our berm. And by the way, county hasn't told us it's a problem, so they've ignored it. And I've sent 2 or 3 notes explaining why it's important, and nothing's happening. So, we've got what I consider a cost-effective solution that should have been taken place. If we had a transportation guy, a public works person, I could have been describing that to them now. He probably could get to the right people and have it addressed. Maybe it's calling Audubon and saying, can you figure it out? I don't know. But going through our process now, I'm sending it to you. It'll probably go somewhere and we might see something in 3 months. I don't know. Anyway, that's my soapbox. I'll let it go and let's keep moving on our agenda. I know I've taken a lot of time here.
And I'll add one thing to Jeff's talk, and that is the sand that comes down from a couple paper streets here onto 4th Street. The county, after they decide that there's not going to be another storm for a little while, so they don't need to just do it immediately over, will come in and scrape up that sand, and then they take it away. And those paper streets are turning into gullies. And if they would just take the sand up and dump it back into the top of the paper street a block up, it would keep them from turning into gullies. But I've talked to the county and they said, no, we're not authorized to do anything except just scrape up the sand. Anyway, that's another issue. It could be brought up. I don't know why Public Works can't dump sand a block up to make it so the sand doesn't just disappear and the paper streets all become gullies in the rainstorms. But maybe we'll never have rain again, and that may solve the problem too. Again, as I said to Jeff, or as Jeff said, we can say this stuff and it'll float around and eventually it'll get to somebody at the county. Then we'll hear, well, that's not on our agenda or something, or somebody else needs to take care of it. And so it's not the same as having a representative here. Thanks a lot. That's it.
That's an answer. Yeah. So Trish, we are having a meeting with the CSD, and I believe the CSD is in charge of drainage. And so we might be able to get some answers when we meet with Ron Munns on Friday. Is it Friday? Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
I believe Friday is correct.
Friday. Okay.
Yeah,
All
we're
right,
going to
so-
do that on Friday, and I'm having weekly conversations with different planning officials each week. So I will talk with them also and see if I can get some good names of anyone who still works in the Public Works Division. Because the numbers are very low of who is working there. So I'll work with one of the 6 people that I'm talking to on a weekly basis and see what we can find out.
Okay, great.
And one more tidbit, that is just that, it would be a lot easier for some county person to come to a Zoom meeting than to come in person. And they always came in person in the past, even if it maybe doesn't attract as many folks.
Correct.
Okay, well, all right. Good comment. Jeff,
I'm
did you?
going to just give you one last one. When I talk to the operations guy, because I do call him on this 4th and Pismo deal, and I said, you know what? I'm sending you a lot of requests. Am I being a pest? In other words, they know this is an issue. After every storm, they got priorities all over the place. And so again, you want to say, well, is this an issue? It's a bike lane, everything else. And he said, no, you need to send these. We do not go out and dispatch things unless we have a work order under normal circumstances. And so I just encourage you. I know Jan used to say all the time, if you got a road problem, call or turn the thing in or call this number. Frankly, that's the only way you get dispatched. When I called him this last time, he said, yeah, I'm working. I got it there. I'm glad you told me about it. I got 150 these guys are working on today. And I don't know how big these guys are, but I just encourage, you got to call for road service if you think there's an issue. It's just not going to happen on its own volition. All right.
Okay, Lynette? Lynette?
I would just say if you can get a map from the CSD as to what areas they service drainage, they don't do all the drainage in this town. So see if you can get a map. That would be really interesting to see.
Oh, very good suggestion. I thank you for that, Lynette. Okay. Any more public comment? Okay, so we'll move on to our first agenda item, which is really just an updated report regarding our Safe Trek safety assessment. We had our first meeting with the two consultants from FAIR, F-E-H-R, and Peers Consultant Group, Steve Davis and Carrie McNichol. They look so young. I am sorry. It must be how old I am, but they look very young, but they were very, very professional and obviously experts in the field. They are going to be doing all of the behind the scenes work and crunching numbers and collecting data, and then they will do an on-site visit. They expect to wrap up the report, their assessment, by the end of May. They will want to come and visit while school is still in session. I'm going to recommend that they actually come on a Monday, so they'll be able to be here during farmers market. I think that's a really good day to be in the community and see everybody walking around. So that I haven't heard from them since we had our first meeting. It's been radio silent. So I don't know how it's going, but I'm sure we'll get something out of it that'll be beneficial to us. Any questions about that? Okay. So CSD and S&T proposed pipeline. Okay, this is a water pipeline. The S&T, which is for Sunset Terrace, is having to supplement their well. They are proposing to connect with the CSD water system and put in a pipeline. And the reason that we're going to talk about that today is because, if I can find it, I think it's right here. Maybe not. Is that little map that I sent you, which I'm not seeing on my screen, so maybe I won't be able to share it. And it shows the pipeline. Did everybody look at it? Oh, Dave, did you get it? Let me find it. I'm sorry.
We saw it, no problem.
Okay, cool. You saw it. All right, great. Then I won't dig around and try to find it. It's a direct line from, like, you would say, the library to, it goes all the way to Pacho, but it comes on Rosina, and they were suggesting that that could be a class 1 bike path that would take the place of the one that we've been trying to get on Los Osos Valley Road, which I thought was brilliant. Unfortunately, Rosina is a private road, and I checked with the county to see if we would have a right-of-way easement to put in a pathway on that road, and they said no, there's no easement there. Which doesn't mean that they won't be able to put their pipeline in, because there may be some other thing that they can do to allow that. But I'm continuing to talk to S&T, and we'll talk to the CSD, because we might be able to get them to reroute the pipeline in a way so that we can maybe go on Skyline, which is already a designated pathway according to Parks and Rec. And the reason we want to partner is because we can share cost. So this is really in the preliminary stages. There's nothing definitive about that, but I did want to share that with you because we are looking for alternatives to the Los Osos Valley Road class 1 bike path, because the county has consistently told us that we're not going to be able to accomplish that on Los Osos Valley Road. I did speak specifically to Jake Hudson, who is the public works person in charge of the corridor study for Los Osos Valley Road. I explained how important this was. He agreed. He is hiring, they just got the funding, they are hiring staff, they're going to be beginning the study, and they're going to be looking for alternatives for this pathway, because as I reminded him, I said, this is in the Los Osos community plan. And so, so we'll just continue to work with Jake. He was great, you know, very willing to discuss this issue. And so we'll continue to keep that conversation going. Okay, I have Jim Hale and then Jeff Krebs. Jim, you first.
So I have a quick question about that easement on Rosina. Is, you say the county said there was no easement. Is there a pathway to secure that easement? Isn't there a process? What did they say the hurdle was?
Okay, so a little history that I think will explain it. Years ago, I can't tell you how long ago, the people who live on that street offered the road to the county. But when the county takes a road, that means they pave it. The county turned it down. And because of that, the road, it's not a county road. And so the county has no right of way along there. So they can't dictate to the people. The process as it exists would be that every single person who lives on that street would have to agree to offer it to the county again. Every single one would have to agree. And then it would have to go to the Board of Supervisors, and the Board of Supervisors would have to agree to take it. And of course, that's going to cost money because they would end up paving that road. They wouldn't leave it in the, you know, right now it's a gravel road. So that's a pretty heavy lift, in my opinion. I think that might be hard to accomplish. As much as I would like to do that, I'm not sure that that would be my best use of energy. Not against it. If you wanted me to try it, I'd give it a go, but
if it's a private road, how do S&T and CSD get the right to put a pipeline through it then?
well, I don't know if they'll be able to. On Rosina, Golden State has a well and a blending facility. So there is a pipeline there already existing. So there are ways that underground things can be put in. And then obviously they have to restore the road back to its original condition. But that's very different from having public access and people traveling up and down the road. So it's possible that they're going to be able to do it in spite of the fact that there's no public right-of-way easement there.
Okay. Thank you.
Jeff.
So I'm probably out of my element, and obviously this takes you out of your element to try to do this. But to be honest, I actually think this is probably the more doable approach, although it does take somebody with land expertise. I mean, the problem is we're stretching where the expertises are. I do believe in the prior TNC meetings, some of those homeowners would come, and it is a dirt road. I do think it's private, but I do think a lot of public uses it to get kids to school, and it was ticking them off because it was throwing up a lot of dust. So yeah, your comment is they're going to want it paved. I'd say that's a reasonable expectation. And if we can get a path out of it, I'm sure there's a cost for pavement. But man, when I see all this government money around, and we got AT and we got health issues and all kinds of things, you know, and not to put this on you, because I actually think it's beyond us. And unfortunately, I'm hearing you're saying county doesn't have anybody. We need somebody with expertise that can run that kind of trap, or we'll be sending paths to other locations. I don't know. This one feels like the right one, at least to understand. And I think it's like 10 owners. I don't think it's a lot of homeowners.
Not a lot.
So
but you only need one to say no. And
yeah,
so it really involves going door to door, right? Or
Yeah.
sending a letter and
but they're going to be negative on it until they really see there's a true green path for them. In other words, this kind of wishful, oh, what do you think about letting us do this? Well, they don't want to give away something unless they're really assured they're going to get something for it. And we can't guarantee what we're going to give for it because we're not in that position. That's why we're not in the best negotiating position. And I don't know I don't know much about land acquisitions and stuff, but if somebody in the land conservancy group was willing to help us with some of this type of thing, I don't know, because I don't think it's something you should be doing or have to do, and they got to have the right qualifications to it. It's more than just calling the 10 people and say what you're thinking, but that is a component of it. And likewise, the same issue, we probably need land conservancy or somebody like that to help us. I mean, you found the person that owns part of that land because we were looking to do what is it, north, south, east, west path down to Ramona, and we don't have the expertise to know how to negotiate that component. What do they want for stuff? And we need something to help us.
Parks and Rec for that one. Parks and Rec will help us with that.
But they may help us with this too, because it's a road, but we're looking for an AT path. I don't know. That's my thinking is that seems to be, it's not an easy path, but it seems to be the most logical path.
So I did talk to Sean Cooper at Parks and Rec, and he was extremely helpful. And he said that he would help us do this. In fact, he sent an email to Josh Roberts and Jake Hudson at Public Works, asking them to help with getting the path onto Racina. And they just basically shut it down. Said there's no easement. It can't, it's, no can do.
Yeah, that's the struggling part. I don't know.
That is the struggling part.
That's my thought.
Okay, Dave or Bev, whichever one.
Just to add, we were there when the last people came and begged the county to take the road, and the county doesn't want to do it because they don't want to spend the money. So the county turned it down. It wasn't that the landowners were a problem, it was the county, as I remember it.
I had a suspicion that, in fact, if we went to everybody and assuming they were basically the same people, they might say yes, but then we still have to get the county to take it. So.
Right, and that's the problem, is that the county doesn't want to pave it, then it doesn't matter if the landowners are all in favor.
They don't want to pave it because they don't have the money. And so we see all these grant opportunities for AT and health and everything else. It just seems like if somebody knew how to do grants to partner with that, if the county, they'll pave it if somebody pays for it. I mean, they'll pave pretty much any of these dirt streets. And so it's a case of trying to figure out what's it going to cost and can we get a grant for it. And part of that may be your water company needing to do some of it. I don't know. Anyway, it's food for thought.
Yeah. All right, well, that's actually a really perfect segue into what I wanted to talk about, and that is financing of projects. And so let me see how good I'm going to be today at actually sharing my screen, because you never know if I can really pull it off. So I sent you a document, but the document doesn't mean much until you take a look at some of this other stuff. So let me see. Let's start over here with this. All right, can you see that?
Nope. Oh, now we can.
Okay, good. All right. Okay, excellent. So I'm going to turn this into a slideshow. If I can get rid of somewhere. Oh dear.
Down at the bottom, Deborah. Lower right.
Oh yeah, down at the.
Keep going down, right there. Yes.
Okay. Oh, there we go. All right, here we go. I'm going to get rid of your little faces. There we go. Oh, almost got rid of. Okay, now. Uh-oh, are you there?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes,
we're
we're here.
This shows the funding shortfall for San Luis Obispo County. I don't know where that's coming. And I'm sorry, I keep getting a notification.
We lost you.
And she's gone.
And yeah, now you're there. We lost you.
Oh, welcome back.
We can't hear you. You're on mute.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes,
No,
No, we can
No.
we
see
can
your
see
picture.
you.
we can see you, but not your screen.
Oh, we're gonna start over. Now I'm gonna go to, all right, you guys are gonna love this slideshow. Can you see it?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay. This is the deficit for San Luis Obispo County. Big red numbers, right? Why am I showing you this? Because, oops. Because the big hole in our financial plan for this county is that we have no regional money. It's federal money, it's state money, and we have some local money, but we don't have any regional money. And what do I mean by regional money? Here's an example. This shows Slow County. Oh wait, let me read this because I have commentary that goes with this. I'm going to go back. Jim, how do I make the slides go forward and back?
Just hit your enter or arrow button.
That's going the wrong way. I got to go this way. All right. What? Did I lose you?
You lost your screen sharing.
No, she's just at the end of the slideshow.
Oh, you're at the end of the slide. Go back. Oh, there you go. Click to exit. Use your arrow key and go back.
All right, let me go to, I'm sorry. I'm really so bad at this. I want to be good at it, but I'm terrible. All right, let's try this again. All right. Shortfalls will persist for decades across all transportation sectors. Okay, so we already know that. We're going to move on to the, okay, do I go this way? This way. There's zero funding for regional funding. Here we differ from most counties of our size in California, and not in a good way. 90% of California's population reside in counties that collect regional guaranteed transportation funds through a sales tax. There are 25 such counties, including Santa Barbara, Monterey, and Santa Cruz, to name a few, in our region. We do not have a sales tax for our transportation projects. We depend on local cities, the county, state, and federal budgets to support all of our transportation needs. As a result, many of the projects on our list have no way to be funded within the timeframe and budget of the plan. Now, next slide. This is a really interesting one. Here's a recent example. Every 2 years, the state offers up competitive grant funding for active transportation. Starting on the far right column, our 23-year plan, this is a 23-year plan, hopes for $180 million for bicycle, pedestrian, and safe routes to school improvements. In the middle of the graph is Santa Cruz. Our sister agency in Santa Cruz offered up $32 million in matching grants, and they were awarded $115 million in state grants. Most of their match comes from the $120 million for active transportation within their measure. So they collect a tax. That tax is exclusive for transportation issues. And so they have money for matching to get this funding from the state. It is staggering to think The Santa Cruz region has $140 million in real funds to spend on safe routes to school, coastal trails, bike lanes, and more over just the next few years, while SLOCAG hopes to receive $180 million over the next 2 decades. And you can see here the first one, there's SLO County, 2022. And we are about the same size as Santa Cruz County, by the way. So this is showing our road maintenance, local road maintenance. And since we're in the county, we are like in a low fare quality. I mean, I don't have to tell you guys how our roads are. We just don't even need to talk about that. Another sister agency in Monterey is putting well over $12 million a year towards local road maintenance, pothole repairs, and safety. This is in addition to the normal funds that our regions both receive, because we get normal funds from the gas tax, which we're going to talk about that too. All right. Most of us are familiar with reoccurring issues in the afternoons heading southbound on the 101 in Shell Beach. Picture explains it. Our plan has an improvement to fix this 5-mile segment in the short term. SLOCAG has set aside $5.5 million and will be competing for state or federal grants, seeking an additional $55 million. If we were to fund this one with just our annual funds received, it would take 9 years from today, not accounting for inflation, to reach that mark, which means no other interchanges or highway improvements could be addressed in the coming decade, because we would have to save all this money up in order to dedicate for this one project on the 101. How long would it take for our region to collect $55 million with a sales tax for transportation? 2 years. In 2 years, $70 million could be collected, covering this project and leaving $15 million to go to interchanges, downtown improvements, or local road maintenance or other purposes. And then we could look to another segment of the 101 in need, perhaps further south. Our sister agency in Santa Barbara improved 101 through Santa Maria by widening and improving interchanges over a decade ago with their measure funds. They're now addressing their South Coast issues. So back to this slide. If we had a comparable sales tax for transportation like Monterey, like Santa Barbara, or like Santa Cruz regions, they think just crunching some numbers, it could be like $1.7 billion in all likelihood. It would completely eliminate the shortfall, including any inflationary factors due to delays. So this was something that was discussed before. I'm going to stop this share and go to another set of slides here. So bear with me. I'm sure there's a better way to do that. But again, let's see, where is that slide? Here it is. These are all, they call them self-help counties. They have a tax that's dedicated for roads, transportation, can't be used for anything else. And these are all the counties that have these: Fresno, Tulare, Monterey, Santa Barbara, Santa Clara. Big fat Los Osos is a big fat zero. Let me go down one more slide. Here we go. We're talking about a tale of two regions, the Santa Cruz region. Very similar population numbers here, guys. And look how much more money they have. They secured funding of $147 million. And, you know, it's just, it's where we need to be, frankly, in my opinion. I'm gonna show you a few more things. This is all stuff from the regional transportation plan from LOCAC. Jim, you have a question while I'm trying to dial this up? Go ahead.
I just think what you just showed reinforces my perception of how dysfunctional the Public Works Department is. And I won't get into the leadership of the county perhaps as well, but it seems to me that, you know, the dysfunctionality that is the status quo at the county is very disturbing. And there has to be a way to address this.
Well, the way to address it is to pass, for us to put it on a ballot measure and to pass it. And it almost passed. It barely, didn't pass in the past. And you guys were here, the rest of the people here on this call know more about that than I do. But what happened is that the 7 cities went ahead and passed their own little sales tax, but that tax is going into their general fund and it's not specifically set aside for transportation. So anyway, the document I sent you on the email attachment today is a request for proposal for them to do a polling to see if they can do another tax measure. But first, I want to just share this little bit of information with you. I thought this was quite interesting. This is the projected tax revenue when we convert our cars to hybrids and electrical vehicles. We lose gas tax money. And you can see as you get into 2030 up to 2040, that money's going away. I'll just go. See if I can get back to, there's another kind of cute graphic that I thought was kind of interesting. Here we go. This shows you what you would get from, you get nothing from a Tesla. You're just not going to be collecting this money that we've always depended on for roads, and that's for road maintenance. So we have an issue. It needs to be addressed. I don't know that there's anybody to blame particularly, other than we need to do a better job of explaining to people why this is important and how we can fix it. See, I have one more thing here, I think, to show you. If I can find it. Oh, my power flickered. Here it is. All right. Can you see that? No, you probably can't see that. Hold on. I promise I will get better at this. There we go. So I'm not going to read this. This is what I sent you today. You can look at it yourself. I actually spoke to James Worthley today. He's the one who gave me these slides that I'm presenting you with this evening. And this is the request for proposal to hire somebody to come and do a poll to see if we want to try to do a local tax again, which obviously I think you can tell by what I've just shared with you that I think it's a good idea. Questions, comments? Jeff? Yes.
These other self-help counties, is there an average percent or something that's being considered? I'm trying to get a sense of what you're talking about here on a sales tax ad. And then the second, I think it's more of a conversation or you mentioned the money from gas sales tax is going to go down with electric vehicles. I think that people are really on the alert to that, and they are getting the advantage of roads. And I've heard several different types of proposals, one being perhaps higher registration fees to compensate or change the program. So I'm not overly concerned, or I'm not super concerned. I don't know what it'll look like, but I'm gonna believe hybrids and electrics will pay their fair share like everybody else someday down the road. But do you have an idea? Is it 0.5% or what are you talking about on monies that these guys are?
You know what, I don't know, but it's a good question. I don't know what it is throughout the different counties, but it'd be very easy to find out. Does anybody remember what it was when it was on the ballot before? Lynette, do you remember what it was by any chance? I think it's very small.
It was just a curiosity. It's not
Yeah.
important. It was just kind of to get a reference.
Well,
Right.
it's important because nobody wants to be taxed. And it's
Yeah.
not going to be, it's not going to be that easy to convince people, but anybody who rides in a car or cares about safe routes to school is going to be interested in how we can make this happen. It's embarrassing to compare ourselves to all of these other counties and to be such laggards in this area of transportation. That's how I feel about it. So any other comments? Nope. Nobody else? Well, I thought you'd find that information interesting. I will share some of that at the general meeting on Thursday, just in my report, transportation report, and sort of get the seed of the subject started as far as perhaps a ballot measure coming our way. Obviously it's desperately needed, and it will make the difference between having the type of active transportation that we envision, right? And frankly, the Board of Supervisors would probably have no problem accepting Rosina as a county road if they had the money to pave it. But they don't have the money to pave it. And this is the way that we could, perhaps help make that kind of thing happen.
Yeah, Deborah, I think we would have to help support and educate people about this proposed potential ballot measure, because people need to understand that, if you want a safe route to school instead of Los Osos Valley Road, this is an effective way to do it, but we need to help the county secure the money.
Well, I seem to recall, and I may be not exactly correct on the numbers, but the ballot measure failed by like 600 or 700 votes. I mean, it was like barely lost. Like it could have been pushed, maybe it wasn't even that much. I'll get more information about the details. It almost passed before. We might be able to get it to pass now. And we have more people now moving in that are used to better roads, right? People coming in from north and coming up from the south, and they're like, they expect to have better roads. So we'll see. But LOCAC is that they're working on it. And you're right, Jim, it's going to be up to us to talk about it and make sure that people understand what it is and support it or not support it, depending on how they feel about it. Okay, well, that's what I have. So if there's Dave, please go ahead.
I just am assuming that probably other community advisory councils have got the same issue, and it's not just a matter of one safe route to school in Los Osos, it's the whole darn county. So I would hope that people would think that it was worth a few pennies on their dollar to join in supporting a transportation oriented tax. And if we only knew the facts about the problem and how much matching funds, how much difference matching funds could make. That's important stuff to know. So anyway,
Yeah.
I'm in favor of paying more taxes and if we can join together with the rest of the county to convince people of that, it'd be great.
Right. Well, I'm sure there will be a whole campaign if they, get a favorable response to the polling that they're going to do. So I will keep everybody posted on that. But, we can complain all we want about our roads and our problems, but if there's no money to fix them, all we're doing is complaining and we're not actually finding the solution. So.
Good point.
Hey, anybody else? Well, we lost Tom, but he lost his power. So,
We lost ours too for a couple of minutes and
Yeah.
came back.
yeah. So, anyway, thank you all for coming tonight and participating, and we'll just keep pushing the envelope and see what we can get done.
Good
Thank you.
job. Thank you.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you.